Last week, HTEC, the Hydrogen Technology and Energy Corporation, announced that it's going to be putting in a hydrogen fueling station in North Vancouver. It'll be located at a 7-Eleven Esso-branded station, and this is the first of a couple, there are already a couple in the Vancouver area. So we're going to talk to Colin Armstrong, who's the CEO of HTEC. So welcome to the interview, Colin.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I'm pleased to be here.
Now, maybe just give us an overview of what you're going to be doing, what this station looks like, and how it operates.
Absolutely. So it's designed for cars. So it's at an existing service station. The one we just announced happens to be owned by 7-Eleven, and with Esso-branded fuel. So most people don't realize a lot of the service stations are owned by independents versus the big guys these days. So anyway, it has a dispenser, looks exactly like a gasoline dispenser in most ways. You have a nozzle, you clip it out of the car as opposed to putting it into the tank. Fill up in about 5 minutes, gives you about 500 kilometers of range. Pretty straightforward, pay with a credit card.
Gotcha. Is the hydrogen in a gaseous state, or is it a liquid?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have high pressure gaseous tanks of hydrogen. In this case, they're kind of hidden behind the building, and it goes into the vehicle as gaseous as well.
Excellent. Now, I understand that you're building a fueling network. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So really, to stimulate the ability for car companies to sell their vehicles, you need a reasonable network for drivers. So we have 8 under construction. 3 are now open, but by the time we finished, you'll be able to drive sort of the 4 corners of Vancouver, or 5 corners of Vancouver, you might say, as well as over to Victoria, and as well as over to or out to Kelowna. So that's sort of the first wave, and hope to have that about this time next year, everything up and going.
It's kind of a chicken and egg with these new technologies, isn't it? You need the infrastructure to get the cars, and then the cars need to have the infrastructure before the consumers will buy them. So are we finally making a little progress? Are we going to be seeing more of this infrastructure over the next few years?
Yeah, hugely. I mean, BC is a small element in the global efforts. There's 100 stations in Japan, 50 or 60 in Korea, on their way to 100 in California, UK, Germany. So it's all being built out because I guess it's a chicken and egg. I mean, basically you have to have the stations before you can sell cars. And so areas that want to attract the cars to their region are building the infrastructure right now.
Now, we've had some experts on energy media to talk about hydrogen, and everybody agrees that it's a great clean fuel for big applications, industrial applications, maybe like long haul trucking, but not so much for cars. So I was really interested in the fact that you're designing this for automobiles. What's your take on that?
I'm a believer that it has a pretty big application in both the light duty, medium, heavy, and transit. So there's a bit of a saying in the industry that the vehicles will bring down the cost of fuel cell because they're orders of magnitude higher volumes, and the heavy duty transit will bring down the price of hydrogen because they use orders of magnitude more hydrogen. So I'm a believer in both. On the car side, it is largely about convenience. We have to convince a lot of people to shift over. Not everybody suitable for the battery electric plug-in. Lots will be, but there's a pretty reasonable chunk that just likes to fill up in 5 minutes and go to the gas station. I often chuckle. I see quite a few Tesla drivers at gas stations, and I always go and ask them why they're there. So it's ingrained in us, and it's a pretty successful model in the last 100 years, and we're just continuing down that path.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, the BC government and the Canadian government both provided funding for this. What does it cost to install this at a gas station?
Yeah, these are still pretty pricey. It's you're about the $3 million mark for the whole system, which is way too expensive. But you just kind of add up all the little things. We spend way too much time, explaining to people, explain to the codes and standards group. So the engineering goes up. We have to do stuff like put pretty banners on the front of it. We have to deal with all the underground stuff that's at existing gas stations. But the prices are definitely coming down. The equipment is dropping. We're packaging up all the solutions. So, it's like everything. The more you do, the more it drops the price. And I'm sure we're not far away from half that price.
Sure, and I think the analogy here is that what happened with battery electric beginning in 2010, 2011, and where costs were really high for batteries, for chargers, all of that, and now look where we are a decade later. Where costs really dropped. So is that what you expect to happen over it's going to take a decade, or are we going to do this a little more quickly?
I think it'll happen a lot quicker. Toyota is ramping up to produce 30,000 vehicles this year, and same as Hyundai. So, globally, 50,000 vehicles needs quite a few fueling stations. So that demand is starting to grow. And all the big auto companies have some kind of hydrogen fuel cell program going on.
Terrific. Colin, thank you very much. We know hydrogen is going to be an important fuel going forward as Canada decarbonizes. We expect to see the 2020s are going to be a very disruptive technology around energy. So I'm sure we'll be talking to you again. Thank you for doing this.
All right, much appreciated. Take care.